Welcome back to the series where we're making over every room in my family's new house. Today, we're addressing the hallway, which may not seem very important, but if there's anything we learned from the last makeover, it's that the transition from one room to the next can make a huge difference. I find these displays very offensive, so we're going to do a DIY solution for that and fix the incomplete job of just leaving an exposed drywall plug because why? Also do something about the access to the HVAC system because the last homeowner, well, they tried, but the stoppers that they decided to use because the door is uneven are not appealing. And they make it impossible to actually open the door, partially because there's also no handle. Just a minuscule hole that is of no assistance at all. The vents, I don't have anything to say because they're actually doing their job, but they could use a deep clean. And as for the rest of it, the details could use a little help. If there are no textured ceiling haters, I am dead. Like, this actually makes me angry, and not even I understand why. What I do know though is, unlike the bedroom makeover, here I want to do a true color drench. Because although I refer to it as such, since I was painting the walls and the doors and the trim, in actuality, a drench is when you paint absolutely everything, including the ceiling. So that means the flower pattern gotta go. Although I did swear that I would never do this again after setting off the smoke detectors from all of the dust so many times that the fire department showed up. Actually, more specifically, it was because we didn't remember the passcode when the security operator called, so she secretly dispatched them. But ultimately, I justified doing it because this is such a small area, like how bad could it be? And I was right, it wasn't that bad, in part because I was a little better prepared. Like I found this at the hardware store while picking up other supplies, and it actually worked out pretty well because it does collect a lot of the debris that would normally fall on the ground, but it does have a few cons. Like it does catch the majority, but it doesn't catch everything. And also it does leave a margin along the perimeter that you can't reach because of the design, so you will have to do the corners by hand. Just be sure to not oversaturate with water because you don't want to scrape the paper away from the drywall. I learned that the hard way. Everything that I'm using I have linked in the description box as always, but I thought it would be fun to recap or even curate things like DIYs, maybe even recipes, since some of you have mentioned that you miss my cooking videos. Basically anything that I'm loving at the moment but haven't gotten around to filming or sharing on my socials. So I'm currently working on sending out my first newsletter. I was recently scrolling through some of their new templates and I was just really inspired, like so much so that I decided not only to send out this newsletter, but to update and put my website back up. Before, I felt like I was just making it more complicated than it needed to be. I was stuck in freeze, too focused on determining which elements were just right, like perfect. But Squarespace recently launched features like design intelligence to help with that very issue, which uses AI to help you build a more personalized site by allowing you to visualize all of the little details and adapt their features to you or your brand. I didn't use it for my site because I just loved the templates as they were, but I would best describe it as like taking your clothes to a tailor. It helps fine-tune the fit so that it fits your unique body, or in this case, style. Things like switching up the layout or customizing the color palette without sacrificing the balance of good design. Or you struggle to find the right words to say, you can even have it write your copy. So if you've been meaning to start that blog, want to sell your products or offer services, or you just want a landing page for your little space on the internet, you can get 10% off with my code abetweene, or head to squarespace.com/abetweene. Now, if you're thinking, this color looks a lot different than when she was cutting the corners, that's because it is. Yeah, I took that back to the hardware store to add pigment because it was way too warm. And why, I don't know, because I did actually hang the swatch card and I observed it during different times of the day just to be sure, but eventually it did all work out. Funnily though, when I asked them if they could add blue pigment to it because I wanted to cancel out the orange, they said they could only add black. So I found that odd, because then how do you make blue paint? I felt like they just didn't want to alter the color that drastically so that they wouldn't then have to deal with me being unhappy about it, but joke's on them because I wasn't coming back here, no way. While I would like to say that not finishing the doorways when I did both the guest bedroom and the bathroom makeover was intentional, that would be a lie because I forgot. Like I do everything else in life, thanks to Brian. So we're gonna do that now. Also, not so fun fact, when things like this happen, me being completely oblivious to the fact that I have not in fact fully completed a task that I thought I had, I think about my 6th grade art teacher who told my mom, in front of me no less, Arian's really talented, but she doesn't finish things. And to give you more context, this was after I had done an assignment that she found very interesting, which I know because she made it a point to tell me so. And so I guess she was displeased or maybe even frustrated that I hadn't continued the designs I was rendering. Yet, as an educator, at no point did she consider, is it possible that this child's unfinished work isn't untapped potential, but an inability to thrive due to disability? And every time I think about that, it makes me sad, because as someone who received a late diagnosis as an adult, after that initial, aha moment and the validation that it brings, there's also mourning of the life that maybe you could have lived, afforded the opportunity to not only support your body's needs, but to learn to manage your symptoms much earlier, especially during those critical years of development. Because if you just understood then what you're struggling to learn now, you wouldn't have to feel like this. But on a lighter note, I recently saw a mom sharing a conversation she'd had with a medical provider for her child, and that physician framed ADHD in a way that not only changed my perspective, but brought me some comfort. They said that people often think of the ADHD brain as overactive, especially when you're seeing what appears to be hyperactive behavior. But it's actually the opposite, that the ADHD brain is very sleepy. So when you see your child unable to sit still, tapping their foot, fidgeting around, it's because they're trying to keep their brain awake. And that changed my brain chemistry. Now, I really tried, y'all, but the weather is just not cooperating with me. It's been so gloomy and cloudy that I could not get any decent aftershots. So later this week will be part 2 and the reveal. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you want more, and I'll see you in the next video.